Massive changes, very interesting. Great to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Now, let's have a look now at some of the executive changes, more executive changes this week in the media sector. And for more on this, we can return to James. And James, this time at ACP, Jerry Reynolds getting well, very close to the top job.
Yeah, absolutely. Sort of taking on a group publisher role like Phil Scott used to have in the old days, I guess. New CEO there, Matt Stanton. This is the first big sort of change he's made since he took over at the end of last year, I guess. So Jerry is across all the titles. A few titles report directly to him. The publishers under him, Peter Holder and Robin Foyster, also have their own group of titles, and they both report into him.
Now, Shine's lost another local executive as well to the international business. Yeah,
Paul Franklin is heading over to the US. Shine, of course, started by both brothers Mark and Carl Fennessy. They've both moved out of Australia, if you like. Carl's running the US operation now. Mark's still back and forward to Australia, but he's got a sort of a very broad international role. So, yeah, and yeah, Paul Franklin, behind the sort of original MasterChef here when it started up, you know, was due to sort of tinkered with the format that's since moved around the world. So he's the key to that, and very, very good get for Shine in the US.
And we've seen this new super independent production company formed basically through a merger, and you've been speaking to the new CEO.
Yep, Cordell Jigsaw. Nick Murray's going to be the new CEO there. So it's Andrew Denton, Zapruder's other films, has gone in with Cordell Jigsaw, best known, I guess, for Bondi Rescues, like one of their flagship programs. So yeah, going to be the largest sort of independently owned company in Australia. So have a lot of shows. Andrew Denton back on air this year. That'll be one of their programs coming up on the ABC.
Now, just turning to government and politics surrounding media, we've had reports that we may get through the report from the former Justice Ray Finkelstein. Could be tabled?
I think it's going to be tabled on Friday of this week. Gee, it's been such a big week. I haven't really had time.
Yes.
We're not sure what it'll be some interesting reading. We'll probably cover that off next week. But yeah, look out for that if you want some weekend reading. I'm sure there'll be a lot to wade through.
Absolutely. All right, let's just turn to radio and Ray Hadley, a very big milestone for him. 30 years. 30
years, yeah. It's hard to believe. He started out, I think his first was calling greyhounds, I think. I mean, he was in a taxi, the story goes, and the station manager got in and thought, oh, you might be good on radio, gave him a break. And yeah, for 30 years, 2UE and 2GB, just two stations in all that time. Of course, he left 2UE, went to GB, and took the audience with him. Doesn't happen a lot in radio, and they could certainly use him back at 2UE, I think.
And looking at FM, we've seen Merrick return to radio as well. Yeah. He won't exactly be squaring off against his old partner, Rosso.
No, Rosso's on air and breakfast. Merrick's, but he's got a national role, Merrick, on the Highway Patrol. They've called the show. Drive show in most markets, but early evening in some others. So it goes to air in different times, different parts of the country.
And talk radio pioneer John Brennan has retired.
Yeah, he's retired a couple of times, but this ill health's got the best of him this time, so he stepped back to look after himself. Yeah, I think it was 60 odd years continuous in radio, so it's been a very long time he's been in the industry. Sort of pioneered the talk format, and a lot of those people, you know, started off in the industry. Alan Jones, probably one of his most successful. Well, there's just, you know, a myriad of people that he's given a start to.
Okay, let's turn from radio now to TV and have a look at the ratings for week 8 for free-to-air first. My Kitchen Rules there, big hit for 7, and Revenge 2, of course, James. And just turning the page as well.
And they just announced the second series, fourth series of My Kitchen Rules for again next year. So.
And you can see there 9 News actually doing well for 9 too there, and the cricket,
Sunday,
of course.
Yep. What's had, you know, 3 live sports on, which are all in the top 10 sports programs.
And looking at the non-sport and Selling Houses Australia, often in that number 1 spot.
Paul Murray on Sky News up in the top 5 there. Well done, Paul.
Leadership providing very big ratings.
Absolutely. Oh, it did massive. Sky News #1 channel on the platform on Monday too. So yeah.
Huge week. Now let's just turn to some of the news that we've been following, and of course there's been a big competition now in the breakfast space on free-to-air with 10's launch. How has it been faring?
Very modest start, you'd have to say, for 10. That's probably the best spin you could put on it, and they certainly know the task ahead of them now. The show's settled down. It's been on air for about a week as of today. Settled down audience, about 50,000 people are tuning in each day. Still a long way behind, and they wouldn't have expected to be, you know, cutting into the audiences at Sunrise or Today. Sunrise, close to 400,000 most days this week. Today's show, a little bit behind, but leading in Sydney and Melbourne. So it's certainly a long way to go for 10, but at least they know, OK, we're in the game now and let's sort of chip away and see how we can go.
Great to talk to you, James. Thank you,
Thanks
as always. James Manning, the editor and publisher of Mediaweek, and from the team here, thanks for your company.